Heifers, and welcome to Angus IT, the podcast all about anxiety, depression, and the chaotic mess that is life, liberty, and the pursuit of a good SSRI. How are you doing, everybody? I know that every episode lately has just been me being like, everything's chaotic, everything's changed, and it keeps happening. Life is very strange, and I can't keep up. I think this is all my fault, right? Because, there have been some dry stretches, I would say, in my life from adventure or excitement, okay? Routine, normalcy, all that fun stuff. And it turns out life was just waiting, having it bottled all up, and then they just opened the cap of the bottle, and now everything is surging from this bottle right into my face, like champagne. The cork has popped right into my eye. I am now covered in sticky foam, and I'm blindly walking forward, and then I step on a rake, and then the handle right in the forehead. I stumble back and slip on a banana. I fall down, but I fall down in a mud puddle. That's kind of how it's felt. But then along the way, too, it's been like, you want a free sundae. So I'm in the mud puddle, but I'm eating free ice cream. And then it's also like, hey, sweatpants, here you go. And so I'm wearing new sweatpants, and then I stand up and then a bird shits on me. That's just kind of how it's been, like a lot of good things, but then just a lot of bad sprinkled in. And I'm sure there's a word for this feeling. I just don't know it, or I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I've talked about it recently. And it's this idea that shitty things keep happening, but I still feel happier than I have. It's like two things happening at once that contradict each other, like a dissonance of external shitty things happening to me. And yet, from day to day, I feel pretty okay, give or take. And I don't know really what to do with that, but I'm just rolling with it. And so I feel like more good things, knock on wood, have been happening for me. And I would like to keep it that way. Fingies crossed. But yeah, I'm trying to think of where I've left you off. So by the time this airs, NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, where you write 50,000 words in a day, LOL, no, in a month, will be over. And I believe I will hit it. I feel pretty confident. I did a lot of writing yesterday, so I'm not as far behind as I was. I am farther ahead than I was last year. Last year, I made it to 37,000 words. I am at 42,000 words as we speak. Very exciting. I'm recording this on Sunday, so I have until Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. So that's going great. That's taken up a lot of my creative energy and overall energy, I will say. I love doing it, but when you're creatively writing that much, your brain just gets really tired. And so I've just been kind of zombie-esque, I feel like, in terms of my other creative projects, like my podcasts. So I'm excited to kind of have my life back, but this has also been an amazing experience. This is a story I'm excited about. I've completely left my outline, so who knows what's going to happen, but it just feels good. It feels like I'm back. Feels like I'm back on track, like Laney's back. And it's just weird to think that we're entering the final month of 2021. And I did just read a news article right before hopping on here that we have a new variant of COVID. And I just kind of like, I just wanted to, can we stop? Can it just stop, please? So hopefully, and they were like, it might be more not addicting. What's the word? Easily spreadable than any other variant. And I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do with that? So I feel like this whole time there's been like contradicting news stories because like we have the fake news, the Facebook scholars, as I like to call them. And then some things get sensationalized and then, so I'm just waiting for actual like science people to officially come out with something. But I don't know. I feel like since Delta variant, even with Delta, people were kind of in denial because, who wants a new variant to exist and extend all this? No one. So if we just don't think about it, it can't be real. But hopefully this time, we're all vaccinated, mostly, hopefully, and people have boosters and all these extra stuff. So hopefully with that all, thrown in there, this will be not as bad. I'm throwing out the good energy for that. I don't think we, I don't know how much more energy I have for this. I've adapted kind of to the style, but I would love to travel again. I think that's my big thing. I'd just like to travel again and like not worry about people in my life getting sick, and the ramifications of that. Like I would just like to feel safer again, which I think we all want. I think we would all enjoy that. We would like to submit our formal request to all germs and bacteria of the world. Thank you. I hope to hear back within 24 hours. Much appreciated. I mentioned that I got a new job. I have a full-time job, so I was working part-time at the library, and, I'm not sure what this episode's going to be. It might be kind of like a wrap-up of the life sabbatical, because even with the part-time job, I feel like I was still in it, because that wasn't the finalized plan, but I think I finally have direction, ? So we're gonna break that down, I guess. So I quit my job in January, floundered around for a bit, tried to figure out what I wanted to do, realized I want to maybe do more podcasting stuff. I really want to enter the creative field where I feel like I have more of an input in what's being created. I wasn't sure exactly what that looked like, though. I didn't know, because everything nowadays, when you look at a job, they're not fake job titles. It's just nothing connects. So you can have like I'm going to take one of my friend's jobs, like something like a human resources guru or something, it's like, well, what does that mean? Is that like an HR assistant or something? Because when you look up jobs, you need a search term usually, or if you want to compare salaries, do any research, it's not fair. What is it? Communications assistant, I feel like, is one of the most malleable ones out there, because it's like communications can mean you're like more marketing, social media specific. Like it has so many, like it's so interchangeable that it's really hard to do any searching to be like, what? So, when I was trying to job search, I was really run down. I was still burnt out. I still had a lot of fears about entering hardcore workforce again, because I was just like, what if I get burnt out again? What if I, flounder? And I had all these thoughts in my head for like, right after I'd quit my job. I thought I was going to get a full-time job by, like, I quit in January. I figured I'll be back on my feet in March. Like, it'll all be done. No, I had a lot more things to figure out, apparently, which was nice in a way, because I think I needed to go through that rough patch, because there was so much that I didn't realize I had buried or not dealt with. And what I mean by that is just kind of like assessing my life. I don't think a lot of us have the kind of opportunity where we can kind of shut things out. Like, I think vacation is a pretty good example of you leave your environment, you're not at work, you're not around the same people, and you kind of get to experience this other flavor of life. And, sometimes you ever meet a new person, and you're just like, I love the way you live your life. Like, you're just so cool. Like, the way you attend these meetings, or, even if they attend meetings, isn't that exciting? The groups they join, or the daredevil things they do, or it can even be chiller. It's just like, you're such a calm person. Like, I am so jealous of you, or I'm inspired by you, right? And then we enter our lives again, and we just kind of look at what we are, and then it's just easier to go into a routine. And to be honest, I don't think it's bad. I'm not saying that every time you go on vacation and feel that, you should return and be shitty and immediately dump everything and change your life. I think there's something beautiful about routine. I know it gets dumped on a lot when, I feel like a lot of creatives tend to be like, fuck your routines, but really, like, they secretly have routines. Routines give you more time to do things, and they're comforting, and, maybe you try different routines, can alternate them, but I just don't think it's fair to be like, you're boring. How dare you? So not saying that every time you go on vacation and you come back, you should totally change your life. Now, did I have that mentality for years? You bet your ass I did. But secretly what was happening is that I wasn't satisfied with my life, but I didn't think I had the power to change it. That sounds very self-helpy. I kind of hate it. But anyway, we persevere, guys. I just didn't know how to fix it, because in my head, you could never leave the corporate world. Like, other people did that. It wasn't stable. Everything in my life had to be exactly stable. And I hadn't done my research, and I didn't realize that there could still be stability in other types of jobs that weren't necessarily full-time or weren't necessarily corporate. like the freelance world was wild, scary, like desert land, like no one can survive, but it's not. When you look a little deeper, it's still rough, but it doesn't have to be as chaotic as I thought it was. Anyway, so that's just a quick example of how my life view, I could tell that there had to be something else out there. I was Belle from Beauty and the Beast, stuck in a provincial town, and I was better than everybody, and my viewpoints were more important. No, but I felt like I had this potential, and it was so hard, I think, this whole year, because I could not name any of it. I could not name the feeling. I could not name where I wanted to go. I didn't know what needed to change. I had an identity crisis. I've mentioned multiple times that not having a job title felt weird. I didn't know how to introduce myself. When I started working part-time at the library, I suddenly felt very defensive for some reason. Like I just assumed people were, I don't know, judging me. Like I had a patron, and she like asked me what I had done before. And I told her I'd been a project manager. And then she just went, "Oh." And I was like, okay. And like, there's no shame in any of these jobs. I just was so defensive and scared because I realized like titles mean a lot to me. And I think it was more like, I want a title that I worked really hard for that fits me. It's kind of like, feeling like you have a name that fits you or a nickname that fits you. I don't want to be called Beefy McGee. That doesn't fit me. But if someone called me like a Taco Bell fart girl, I don't want that either, even though it would be. No, I'm not putting that out there. Let's scratch that from the record. Not great examples, but just something I really identify with and would feel cool having been like, yeah, that is me. And I feel like I just didn't know what is me in terms of my job. I had all these like hippie crisis moments where I was like, why do we have to fucking have a workforce? Why do I have to work for the man? I was just like, I'm stuck in a world where I'll never be happy and free. Like I went through all of it. I went through waves, and then I'd be like, it's fine. It's chill. It's whatever. I got to start other things. And it's weird because I feel like I had the same day every day for 4 months straight. And I think I needed to like get that out of my system and get bored, because when you get bored, that's when you start doing things. So I finally got bored. And then my motivation kind of kicked in, and also desperation, because the bank account was getting a little dry there, guys. So, I got the library job, and the library was such a great landing place for me. I couldn't have thought of a better place to work after the car accident. I had to drive to work every day. I don't know if I would have driven, I was working remote at the time. I don't think I would have gotten the same practice. I lived by myself at that point. So I think a lot of my freakouts, living by myself, I realized like you just have a lot of thinking time if you don't have other activities a lot going on. And especially with COVID, you're just kind of sitting there, and I mull over probably to a point that's detrimental to my mental health a lot of times. And I try to analyze everything, and it's both a gift and a curse, I would say. Like I like that I can be very self-aware. But then I also pick apart everything and then doom and gloom my future. Like it's a great combo meal. It's like you got your burger and then a wilting salad. It's like, yeah, I love this for dinner. So the library was just fantastic. Everyone was so nice. I got to kind of use my brain again. I had structure again in my life. And at this point, I had moved in with Cameron, had a roommate. I was terrified about that. But also it happened so fast, I didn't have time to think about it. And it just kind of happened seamlessly. I don't think I've really stopped to think about all that. I think I've just been trying to keep up with the now and avoid that. But I probably need to sit and think about like, yeah, I totally like uprooted my life this whole year. And I think it's easy to focus on each individual thing that's happened to me this year, but it happened very shortly. A year is a short amount of time. I mean, it can be long, but in terms of the life events, like it's happened also quickly. It's like I almost have whiplash, and it's like a violent Velcro rip is kind of how I feel right now. So it's both good, but also I'm tired. And so this goes back to the beginning of the episode when I said, I wanted new things and new adventure and a fresh face on life. Well, I got it. Maybe not the way I thought I'd get it. Maybe not the most fun path I thought it would be. But here I am with a completely different life than when I started in January. And it's so funny that it took a whole year to kind of get to where I am. And you might be asking, where are you in life, Elaine? What do you mean? So I've kind of come to terms with a lot of things, the car accident. I'm doing a lot better. And I'm driving home for Christmas, which will be like a 15-hour drive. And I think that'll be pretty healthy in a way. Like you just kind of get in a groove. And I haven't been home in like 3 years. So I think that'll be kind of a nice, fresh page, so to speak. I got a full-time job and it's in podcasting. I am a podcast manager. And that fact, that hasn't sunk in. And that happened very quickly. I had the interview and I got offered the job within the same hour. I hadn't even had time to really think about like, oh, this is happening. I put in my 2 weeks notice the next day, immediately started after that 2 weeks notice. Thanksgiving's happened and I'm still in it. And it's just like everything has happened so fast. I feel like I haven't had any time to digest any part of my life. So this was a very good thing. And I absolutely love it so far. It feels weird though. Again, it's just another, I didn't see that life path coming for me because like podcast jobs don't really exist. I mean, they do, but usually you have to be in a big city. So New York, Chicago, LA, what have you. And you'd have to be on site and you have to have the right connections or I don't know. Really hard to do when you live in South Carolina, which is not like the biggest media hub in the world. And, also applying for remote jobs, if you are not having to do that right now, you have to see it within like the first 30 minutes of it going up because otherwise you're sucked to the back and they'll probably never see you because everybody wants remote jobs now and you're competing with the whole country to get your little resume in there in time. So this was a fluke. I feel like I was scrolling on LinkedIn and I saw it was an easy apply and I was like, yeah, whatever. Why not? That sounds cool. That probably won't happen. And then it did. So it was so funny because I tried so hard on all these other applications. And then this is just like what happened with my last job. I was just like, it's so far-fetched. Why not? Who cares? I'm not going to be stressed about it because whatever will happen will happen. My life is a dumpster fire that also shooting off fireworks. It's very confusing. So whatever. And then lo and behold, here I am. I'm very happy. I'm very confused. And I think that really shapes up 2021. Not my favorite year, but we're ending on a good note. I think I said in my last episode that my friend was we were considering October could be the new year. Because that's when the podcast convention was. And I always feel like rejuvenated after that and great new idea. So like if October's the new year, I'm all about it. And my friend Christine has been so sure that like our 2021 has been building up to an amazing 2022. Like we had to go through the rough stuff this year and now we're like stronger because of it. And I'm starting to vibe with it now. I tend to be kind of like I'm so excited for all my friends, but then when it comes to me, I'm like that doesn't apply to me. I am a dark cloud and everything that happens around me is lightning and tornadoes. There will never be rainbows and sunshine for me. But I'm ready to believe it. I'm trying to be better at hope and excitement. That's what my psychiatrist and I have been talking about is me like allowing myself to be excited about things and not wait for the other shoe to drop because that shoe might drop anyway. So who cares? Like I might as well be happy. I don't know if anyone's ever been so nonchalant about happiness. It's like, yeah, whatever. I can be happy. I roll. But that's kind of where I'm trying to be. Oh my gosh, y'all, having a paycheck. This really came at the right time. I don't know. I had all the car stuff and the hospital bills and it's just like, I have something steady now. And it's just wild. It's so, I clearly don't have the words for how I feel right now. But I go back and forth on how I feel about fate or destiny or how the universe works in that sense. Like, do we choose our own destiny? Are things preset? Do we get signs? I think I have a lot of contradicting views, honestly. I believe one thing and then I'll just kind of contradict myself with another view. But you know what? Humanity, whatever, that's how it is. We don't know at the end of the day. Just believe what you need to believe, right? So for me, I do kind of I do think things happen for a reason to an extent. Like, I don't really like the idea that I got hit by a car pretty severely. Like, that's honestly, that kind of shook me up in my like life view, because then, which I think happens for a lot of people when something bad happens. It's like, well, why did that have to happen to me? You know, did I do something to deserve that? Like, what will happen next? Like, did I have too many negative thoughts about a fear of a car crash? And then because of that, I made it happen. Because The Secret, if you haven't read it, it's all about law of attraction. And it kind of talks about that. Like, if you have all the negative thoughts, it'll happen. And to me, that I usually think of that in terms of like your self-worth performance. Like, if you constantly think you're a piece of shit, you're going to feel like you're a piece of shit. But they talk about it in the physical sense as well. So like, I had to struggle with the idea, and I haven't liked that idea, by the way, for a while. The brain tries to make logic and reason of things happening. So a car crash that was completely out of my control, my brain was like, we have to logic this. What did we do to like avoid this? So it was things like, we don't go on errands without thinking about it, because when I went on that drive, it was a last minute thing I decided on a whim to do. So if I go on drives that are on a whim, I will get in a car crash, or I can't listen to my D&D podcast that I enjoy because I was listening to that in the car. And if I do that, it will increase my probability of getting in a car crash. These are things that are not true. And yet, you know, if you really feel the law of attraction, you start to think you brought it on yourself, right? Like the negative thoughts. So I had that for a bit, and I was freaking out because then I would, you know, naturally I was freaked out after the car accident. So a lot of these thoughts would come back. I'd be driving and I would have images of me getting all the different options of car accidents I could get into. And then I'd have to like ground myself and come back to it. But, you know, I was like, am I like bringing this on again? So that's just been something that's been out there. I'm not sure why I started that tangent, but I'm sure it was important in terms of just talking about the year. Oh yeah, fate. So it's like, I don't know how to feel about moving forward anymore. Like my view of how the world works has like changed, which hasn't happened in a while. I'm not like too freaked out about it, but mostly, I want to be excited about things again. And I think that's the worldview I want to try to have, because I've been very good at trying to be grounded. I think I've been calling it self-aware, you know, in touch with what's going on. And I think like what's ended up happening is that I try to suck out all the joy, because joy can be so fleeting, but the reality of something is just clear cut. It's like, here's the black and white, you know, instead of like the fun color version. So I'm trying that. And so, yeah, I feel there definitely have been things that have happened recently that I'm just like, this had to happen because then this happened. Like, it was just so many series of weird signs and coincidences. Like, I had been applying for a different job, and I had an interview, and I felt like on such a high that's why I was like, you know what, I'll apply to more jobs the next day. And then I did. And then I had the interview for the job I currently have the next day. And I never would have applied if I hadn't originally had that first interview, if I hadn't gone gangbusters at She Podcast, because I had left there being like, I'm having a job by the end of this. So it's just, you know, those are all weird things I feel like that lead up to it. And I mean, even going back further, like I have a job in podcasting because they liked my podcast experience. And that all started because in 2018, my grandfather gave me a microphone and I wanted to try podcasting. Like, indie as it gets, my hobby and my passion led to an actual like career change. I am in the podcasting space now. I'm a podcast manager. I haven't even had a chance to wrap my mind around that. Like, I started with Angus IT, like what, almost 4 years ago? 4 years ago this coming August. I learned a lot about myself and what I enjoy. I learned a lot about the craft, and I just had fun with it. And that has somehow turned into, it's like all these little things. Like I think all the seeds I've been planting in my 20s are finally blossoming, if that makes sense. Like, I really feel like things are coming together, which is really interesting because in my Japanese 2017 palm reading, which is one of my anniversary episodes, you can go check it out. My palm reader had said that my life would kind of like, I would enter the second phase of my Gemini, which basically means you have like Gemini, you have two phases of life, the duality, the twins. And so your first phase of life is like leading you up to that second phase, who you truly are. You finally realize who you are, and then you get to embark, your life kind of having your shit together, essentially. And so mine's supposed to happen around 28 years old. That'll be this coming June. So I really, truly feel like I have direction again, at least have more answers. I know what I want out of life, and I think I'm not settling anymore. I'm trying not to push myself too much because, again, like I've had a lot of changes, and so I kind of want to like sit and let the dust settle again before I try anything wild. I don't even know what that would be at this point, but basically it's been a lot in a good way and a bad way. So mostly I'll probably talk about this more in like a New Year's episode or something, but I'm just kind of excited to like leave this year. It did what it needed to do, but it was pretty rough. And I think I'm more tired than I think I am, but I'm going to allow myself to be excited in the happiness. So that's what's been up with me. You know, it's been weird to document this whole journey, but the life sabbatical officially 100%, that chapter is now closed. I'm no longer taking a break from life. I am back in it, and I know what I want. I know who I am a little bit more. And it really feels like I'm starting to like, not even the next chapter, like the next book, the sequel. I hated that so much. All of my like ability to string words together has gone into my nano, and even then it's rough. So wild times, very weird. I'm excited to kind of have a routine again. I feel like when I'm busier with work things, my brain works better. That's what I've come to learn. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited for the month of December. I'm excited for all the sweatpants I ordered over Black Friday. I realized I wear the same 2 sweatpants like every day of the week, essentially. And I was like, I could have more than 2 pairs. Like if I'm wearing them that often, like I can treat myself to a 3rd pair, 2 more pairs of leggings. You know, like I think in my head, I never allowed myself to have more than 1 item. Usually, I have more than 1 pair of pants, for example, but you know, if there's a pair of leggings I really like, why not get 2 so I can wear it more throughout the week? You know what I mean? Another life realization I had that I was like, I don't have to follow those rules. I can do whatever I want. It's been very freeing. So I can't wait for my new sweatpants. Oh man, guys, life is so weird. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Angus IT. I truly appreciate it. Y'all are so wonderful. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AngusIT. My DMs are always open. I have a fun time chatting with y'all. I'd love to know what you've been up to. And let's see, you can email me. Yes, you can email me at angusit@gmail.com if you feel fancy. I hope that you go to your favorite restaurant and they bring back a special that you loved, but they take away every once in a while, but it's back. Ooh, it's back with a fury. Ooh, and I hope you got all your little Christmas holiday trash coffee options, like the ho-ho minty bitches reindeer haha whip cappuccino. I hope you get all your ridiculously named coffees and you sip on them with joy. And with that, I will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye, Heifers.